Initially, Harry's only responsibility is to transport a very disturbed and bloodied Seraphina back from Amsterdam to the Harrigan complex in the United Kingdom. Maeve, of all people, welcomes her there with open arms and claims that Seraphina is a full-blooded Harrigan because of her attempt to assist her half-brother Brendan, who was condemned without her fault. Naturally, this is nonsense. Maeve begins to instill negative thoughts about Seraphina in Kevin, her half-brother. Maeve is even more irate since Kevin doesn't believe it. In contrast to that baseborn bastard, Seraphina maintains that Kevin or his brother ought to guide the family into the future. When Kevin informs this incredibly tired individual that his brother has passed away, Maeve snarls, "Your other brother," which makes Kevin the most irate we've ever seen him. I believe the reason behind Kevin's rage is rather obvious. For starters, he appears to be aware that his father, Conrad, and his wife, Bella, are still together, despite the fact that he essentially purchased her and sold her to Kevin many years ago as a sort of romantic consolation prize. Another is that Maeve has seemingly supported Eddie Harrigan, Kevin's supposed son, bizarrely, essentially jumping ahead of a generation of leaders to train someone who is obviously unsuited for the position. Indeed, there is only one plausible choice for Kev's mystery sibling, and that is his son, Eddie. Alright, so I guess it could be Harry, whom Conrad refers to as his son, to express his gratitude for saving Seraphina, but that's a little less juicy than the quasi-incestuous angle, isn't it? Speaking of our boy Eddie, his sexual adventures with his daughter Gina are by now the talk of the compound, and his conversation with the guy about the relationship is brilliantly written. Eddie preemptively goes into a whole spiel about how if a Harrigan says frog, Harry jumps, he's just some loser gopher, Eddie's the family's future, he'll do whatever he wants to Gina, who is enjoying the rogering she's getting, blah 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 blah. In other words, he reacts exactly as you'd expect an asshole to react. No, Harry. He gently explains to Eddie that although he, like many fathers, has a great deal of love for his child, part of that love is about allowing Gina, who is a smart individual, to make her own decisions. Harry wishes them luck and asks that they treat each other with kindness if she decides to go with Eddie. Genuinely taken aback, and perhaps even a little touched, I don't think anyone in his family, not even the devoted Maeve, treats him with this level of man-to-man deference. Eddie thanks him, and Harry walks away. After a brief 5-second pause, Harry knocks on the bedroom door once more and assures Eddie that he will follow him all the way to the top of the ladder so that he may eventually push him off. Eddie is left without a sulky little comeback once more. He uses it to brag and preen, but it's obvious that he's accustomed to being the most talkative man in any place that will allow him to enter. Without ever raising his voice, Harry uses his gift for language to make promises rather than threats. Eddie is unsure about what to do with that. However, he is aware of what to do with Gina. Harry leaves the Cotswolds to go back to London and arrange a meeting between Conrad and Jamie Lopez, who killed Brendan but may have some daylight between the two partners because he disobeyed Richie Stevenson's order to kill Seraphina. Conrad has assigned Harry the responsibility of organizing Richie's primary fentanyl supplier's theft. Eddie and Gina immediately resume their fucking, making it loud enough for different parents to hear. Naturally, Gina is acting out, but is it really your fault? Gina quietly tells Harry about the Electra complex, which is the tendency for women to seek romantic partners who are similar to their dads, while he attempts to gently scare her away from Eddie by telling her that he is a psychotic murderer. Harry's vacation to London is exciting. He finds out that one of the Harrigans is already involved in the fentanyl operation with the opposing family when he meets up with Freddie, Bradley Turner, his inside man in the Stevenson group. Although we don't hear who or what the man says, it seems that Harry dumps him from the roof because of his problems. Next on Harry's agenda is a video conference with Kat McAllister, the American who prevented Lopez from dissecting Seraphina. It's unclear what Kat is or even who she is. Is she a boss of crime? A member of the intelligence community? Dr. Doom? Conrad, whoever she is so terrified by her that he cautions Harry against becoming overly indebted to her. She clarifies, however, that Harry now owes her 2 favors by the end of the episode. If Conrad is worried about what those could be, who boy? The intriguing aspect of all of this, however, is that Harry has started to show that he understands how far the Harrigans have fallen. He informs his inside man that Maeve is now in charge of the family and that the king is dead before he murders the man. Although I don't remember ever hearing the rumor of it before, he says that he and Kevin are aiming to take over. He's telling the truth about what's happening at the top and how much better it would be for them to have cooler minds like Kevin and Harry in charge, so maybe it's just a smokescreen to get Freddie to divulge information. If I were Harry, I might throw someone over a parking garage roof to keep them quiet, unless, of course, Kevin is already sleeping with the Stevensons. Remember that the police are also involved in this conflict. Detectives Fisk, played by Mabley, and Mukasa, played by Gemma Knight-Jones, have been relentlessly pursuing the Harrigans from the beginning. They brought Harry in for interrogation early on, they found the body of the advisor Conrad, who was killed at Maeve's request, they worked with Alice on her undercover assignment with Jan, etc. Alice is dealing with some issues. Conrad coerces Jan into allowing him to phone this enigmatic Alice and extend an invitation to supper, mildly frightening her once more. Although I personally don't think he wants to fuck her, the police suspect he does, and they tell her to cover herself just in case. Regarding Fisk and Mukasa? Yes, in regard to them. Their squad calls in a retired investigator named Colin Tattersall. Toby Jones is on this show now, a decision they would later come to regret if they were still living. Despite his gentle demeanor, this oldish man has a prescription for defeating the Harrigans. He proposes teaming up with the Stevensons and providing Richie with years of immunity from any crimes in return for his assistance in bringing down Conrad's empire. As far as the plan is concerned, Fisk and Mukasa comply. However, Mukasa categorically denies that it will ever be Richie when he demands to know who is wearing the pants in this relationship. In front of numerous witnesses, including Tattersall, who is more than willing to let Richie lead the joint operation after all, Richie simply kills 2 detectives from the London Police Department's Organised Crime Task Force. This is similar to what used to happen when gangsters joined forces with police to kill their rivals. Tattersall had earlier implied that Richie would hold a grudge against him because he had twice imprisoned him for bids that lasted 10 years.